Hello, hello. It's our October book chat day. Hello, DJ. Happy Saturday. It's our October book chat day with Wanda Morris for all her little secrets. Oh, there she is. Hello there.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm
Fix my
doing very
camera.
well.
Good. Fix my
I
camera.
like your background.
Ah, yes, the showcase here. So I'm
Thank
super excited to chat with you, and I'm so glad that we selected your book for our October read.
you so much. Listen, I have been following you for a while, so I consider this a real honor.
Oh,
Thank
well, thank you.
you. I do.
Thank you so much. So we have so much to talk about because, first of all, you just had your sophomore novel came out here, Anywhere You Run. Was it
Yes.
October 25th?
October 25th.
Yes.
That's right.
So this is
Mhm.
out now. I
Yes.
love your covers. They're always so interesting.
I got to tell you, my publisher knocks it out the park every time. There's a young woman,
Yes.
Ploy Serpent, who is the art director for HarperCollins, and she does those covers, and she knocks it out the park.
They are amazing. So I'm going to kick off and then we'll get started. I'm going to have you introduce yourself after I finish so you can tell
Okay.
people a little bit about yourself. But welcome to October Spine of the Month book chat with Wanda Morris. We're so happy to have her here. We read all her little secrets in October. I'm Jamise and I'm the founder of Diverse Spine. And I'm really excited to speak with Wanda today. If you have any questions for her, you can drop them in the chat, in the question box. And I think I pinned it. I don't know if I pinned it, if it stayed there. Oh, let me pin this. If you need a copy of the book, it is pinned in the comments. As always, this is a spoiler-free conversation because we still want you to go out there and read the book if you haven't read it. So welcome, Wanda, and I'm going to open the floor to you to introduce yourself to our audience.
Oh, hang on one second. I wanted to make sure I'm coming in. My Wi-Fi gets a little spotty.
Oh, okay, no problem.
Great. So, first of all, thank you again for having me. I am, I guess, what some people call a recovering lawyer. I think I've always secretly been a writer deep down inside, but kept tamping that down, thinking, writing a book just seemed like something really big and gargantuan and a task for somebody who was much smarter and much more talented than me. Um, so I kept doing things that kept me from following my passion. Let me put it that way. But my journey is kind of a long one. I started the first draft of All Her Little Secrets back in 2008.
Okay.
Yeah, and I wrote probably 60 or 70% of the book because I didn't know how it was going to end. And then I put the book away. I put the book away because I convinced myself, despite all my other accomplishments, that, I couldn't do this. This book wasn't very good. Who would want to read about a Black woman who worked with these really horrible people? Now nobody told me this, okay?
Right. You just thought
Nobody
that.
told me this, right? This was all me. But then I went through some health challenges and I came out on the other side. But like most, kind of life altering experiences, I thought to myself, why am I not doing the one thing that gives me peace and
Right.
joy? And that has always been writing. And so I dug out the manuscript again 7 years later, and I said, let me just finish it and see what happens. And by the time I wrote to the end, I was in love with these characters. I was in love with Elise and Vera and Sam.
Yes.
And so I set about trying to get an agent so that I could become traditionally published. Now that was another years-long journey of rejection, but
But
however we got here, we're here.
You're here, and it's such a timely story. I mean, it came out when it was supposed to come out. It's so, it's a great story, and I think that we need more Black women of color writing murder, mystery, thriller, crime fiction books.
Exactly. That is largely the reason why I started doing it. I think it was Toni Morrison who said, if you can't find the book that you want to read, then you write it.
Yes.
And I always loved, I have shelves of, Harlan Coben and John Grisham and, David Baldacci and all these really great authors, but their characters didn't speak to me. They didn't look like me. They didn't talk like me. They didn't think like me. Now, I love their stories, but I thought, Black woman might have handled that a little differently or something along those lines. And so that is why I set out to do it, because I didn't see a lot of Black females, amateur sleuths, not a detective, not a cop, but somebody who is just trying to live her life the best way she knows how and gets entangled in, all sorts of murder and mayhem.
I mean, all kind of mayhem. You knocked it out the park. I mean, I think we're going to talk a little bit, but you told me, what was your inspiration for the story, though? Because tell the people a little bit about it, because she worked, it's Elise, right? I'll make sure I got her name right.
Elise.
Okay.
Yeah.
Elise. She is working as an only Black lawyer, Black woman, at an all-white law firm. And they are very awful. They are some awful. They are, you tackle a lot of subjects in this book. And so we're going to just go through a couple of those, but just tell us what inspired you to write this story about Elise.
I guess, I always say, first and foremost, the book is fiction. The book is fiction. It's not autobiographical. I am a Black female lawyer, but the book is fiction. But I think some of my own lived experiences and talking with my friends who, were Black female lawyers and had dealt with some of the same nonsense, we would get together and go, it's crazy. And you think we're in the 21st century and so much of this might be behind us, but it's really not.
It's not, right.
And so, I think I just kind of tapped into some of those experiences, my friends, other female lawyers, and what it's like to be a Black female in corporate America. And even though we are purportedly the most progressive country in the world, sadly, there are still a lot of things that occur in these predominantly white spaces that are unpleasant to deal with.
And I like the fact that you didn't shy away from it. You really created the visual, and you could, I was angry a lot. We're going to talk about that. But, it's because I think either you're reminding of something that happened to you or someone that you know. And so this is not a spoiler, you guys, but Elise finds her boss in the office murdered, dead, right?
Yes. So the book opens there.
Yes, it opens with that. So that's not a spoiler. That's in all, but he's a white male and he's married and she's having an affair with him.
Yeah. Let's see. Can you spell messy?
Messy.
Yeah, you know what? I did want to lean into some of those things that, we don't always talk about. Those, decisions that some women make. Now, Elise is a character who is, she's self-aware enough to know I should not be sleeping with this man.
Absolutely.
But she's doing it, and I don't want to spoil the book, but she's doing it for a number of reasons. And so, it is part and parcel of her character. Elise Littlejohn is this woman who is, very smart and very beautiful, but she also has some flaws. And
secrets.
And secrets, lots and lots and lots of secrets. And those secrets have shaped who she became and shaped her decision-making process, because sometimes she doesn't make the wisest choices, but she does what is kind of her go-to reaction because she suffered some trauma, trigger warning. And so, you know, if you understand the psychology of trauma, that you kind of get stuck in that place where you were. And so a lot of her decisions are not very smart, but they are, you know, where she comes from. So I tried to tell a story that, you know, was realistic, that is tough to read, but it's also a story about love and loss and family and redemption, in addition to all those things.
Because I think, you know, she's an Ivy League grad, and she deals with a lot of imposter syndrome.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, she's promoted to the executive suite, and then she still wonders, am I really supposed to be here? And I think that that's a lot of women out there, Black, white, blue, whatever, that, you know, we've been so ingrained with this idea that, you know, we have to be a certain thing. We have to be super smart, and we have to be, you know, all these things to all these people. And it creates all this self-doubt. And so for Elise, you know, she's always been smart. What happens is she's actually a lot stronger than she gives herself credit for. And that's part of her imposter syndrome as well.
Yeah. Talk a little bit about being the only one, because, you know, she is the only Black lawyer in this corporation. But the corporation is also has its own issues going on. People are protesting them.
Yes. Yeah. So Houghton Corporation is, it's kind of a character in and of itself.
It is a character.
And so, you know, she is working in this environment that purportedly gives her this facade of success, right? She's, you know, an attorney, and she has been promoted to the executive suite. She has this lavish wardrobe and apartment. But the company that she works for, they're being protested because they have engaged in what is alleged to be some racial discrimination by employees and people who have applied to the company. And it creates in her this sort of conflict as well, because she drives into the parking lot of this building every day, and she's like, you know, these Black and brown people look just like me, but I'm collecting a check every month from them. And, you know, it also goes to how we have to navigate in these sorts of spaces. I've been the only one in certain work environments, and it is a delicate dance. You know, I'm now at an age now where I couldn't give two you-know-whats. But very early in my career, I was kind of doing this delicate tap dance, you know, should I be this way? Should I be that way? And, you know, this whole idea of, you know, walking these fine lines and trying to navigate these spaces that have certain expectations for what you should look like and how you should wear your hair and how you should behave in a meeting. And I think because, again, as I referenced, she had gone through this trauma, again, she's still trying to navigate the space, knowing what she knows and having survived what she survives. I like to tell people by the end of the story, she kind of comes into her own. So
yes, she does.
You just hang on. You hang on. She's hang on. Coming to her own.
I mean, it's a lot of, it was a definite page turner. I mean, I was like, this is really a debut. It was a definite page turner. I haven't got to Anywhere You Run yet, but I'm going to get to it. But also in this book, you know, you tackled workplace racism. And I'm going to talk about the microaggressions and the angry Black woman stereotype.
Mm.
And it's like most of the time when people say that or reference that, it just makes my blood boil, because there are reasons why people are angry.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. And so talk a little bit about, I mean, you just dove right in on all of that.
Yeah, I've been told that I wasn't shy when
Yes.
when it came to that. You know what? Here's the thing that, I think we came out, or we went into President Obama's administration,
Mm-hmm.
and everybody had the sense that, oh yeah, now things are going to be better.
Right.
We've elected a Black president. And while that was all good and fine, I think it actually had the opposite effect.
Absolutely.
If you look at the administration that
Mm-hmm.
followed. And none of that stuff went away. It was just always lurking
Mm-hmm.
underneath the surface. And, they were always hiding in caves and doing whatever, those folks did.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I did in the story is I just kind of leaned into it. I think most writers ask themselves, what would happen if, like, what if blah 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 blah. And I took that a step further. If a company that is being investigated or alleged to be harassing their employees, that stuff doesn't just happen out of the blue. It must
Right.
come from somewhere. And so I tried to take it a step farther and said, what if there was something larger going on? Because most times when there's smoke, there's fire.
Almost all the
time. Exactly. But you know what? I got to tell you, Jamise, on January 6th, I was here at home in the study and I was writing. My husband was working remotely, and I was in the zone. And he came into the study and he said, "Have you looked at TV today?" And I was like, "No." And he said, you need to come see this. So I follow him outside and we're standing there in front of the television watching what happens on January 6th.
Mm-hmm.
And he turned to me and he said, "I don't think your fictional book is so far off," right? But it does make you think, where does this go? And what kind of will we all wind up at the end of this? So yeah, I think I just kind of leaned into what was already there. I don't think that racism necessarily went away just because we elected a Black president.
Absolutely.
So
you started writing it in 2008. You put it away. So once you picked it back up and started writing again, what was the most, what part of the book, if without spoiling, did you enjoy most writing? I mean, was it a character? Was it a scene? Like, what was the moment that you enjoyed most writing the novel?
You know what? I think it had to be the scenes that involved Vera. And the story, just for people who haven't read it, the story's told in dual timelines. And so you see Elise Littlejohn as a 14-year-old girl the summer before she goes off to an elite boarding school. And then the other timeline is her as a working adult. And I think writing those scenes from Chillicothe, Georgia, which is the small town she grew up in, and writing about that community that surrounded her, good, bad, and otherwise. There's something about a small town that's like catnip to me, because, there's purportedly, the superficial level where everything is good and people are decent and they're loving and kind to each other, right? And then just underneath, there's this current of, deceit and secrets and lies. And And so I really enjoyed those. I often tell people that, mystery and crime and thriller writers sometimes get a bad rap because the thought is that we just write about plot and boom, 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 and here's what happens. But I think that there's a way to tie in a beautiful story,
Mm-hmm.
a story about love and a story about family, along with all that action and dead bodies. My books do not have a lack of dead bodies.
No. You talked about talk a little bit about your craft because I want to know, do you write in the morning, in the evening, or what's going on in your office?
Yeah, so I write here in this space, which is a little room right off of our living room, which is very nice because when I was writing this book way back in 2008, and then when I picked it up again in 2015, I was still, working, raising 3 kids. And so then I was writing wherever I could find a spot to write. If it was on an airplane, in an airport, in the car while I was waiting on my kids to finish practice and school. But I tend to write early in the morning. My brain is just fresher then. I am a bit of a dinosaur because I write all my first drafts in longhand. Yellow legal pad, blue Pilot gel ink pens.
Oh, wow. Wow.
I've gone to the computer, Jamise. I've gone to the computer and I'm like, we're going to do this more efficiently. And I just stare at a blank screen.
Okay.
And I think maybe it's because I've worked so many years as a lawyer. And so if I'm in a meeting taking notes or, listening to witnesses and so forth. So I just tend to write everything. But yeah, I do all my first drafts in longhand.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's an inefficient process.
I know, but I like it. I mean, I just, but still, I like it. I talked to someone a couple of weeks ago and they said they did their most recent book in longhand.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, talk a little bit about your characters, because I'm saying the character development, because when you're reading a crime fiction or a thriller, you don't get a lot of character development. Sometimes you do, but not like all the time. But your character development in this book is great. And so just talk a little about, did you have a favorite character, or just talk a little about your characters? Because there's some characters in the book. Some characters.
Gosh, favorite characters is really hard for me.
I know it's like picking a favorite kid, but you can't do that either.
Right? Exactly. I love all the characters, but I try to write books that, they're the kind of characters that I want to read about, which was largely the reason why I started writing this book, right? And so, I have characters that feel real to me. And I think if they feel real to me, they'll feel real to the reader. And so, for example, the people who are not so nice in this book, some of them, not all of them, some of them have some redeeming qualities. And, the people who are good people in this book have done some things that are not very nice. And to me, that is part of real life, that there are shades of human behavior. And, everyone is not all good. Everyone is not all bad.
Right.
And so I try to create characters who have these types of things. For this particular book, because I knew I wanted to deal with women's issues, I tried to have a spectrum of women in the book as well, who are dealing with their own kind of issues. So in addition to all the issues that Elise is dealing with, you have someone like Willow, who is a white female in the same toxic environment that Elise works in, and she's kind of navigating or trying to navigate her way through. You have Grace, who has been the arm candy of, a famous basketball player, and she's trying to navigate her way through because she knows I could do more than this. People in the small town where she grew up, Vera and Birdie Mae and all these people
May, yeah.
were much like the people that I grew up with, my mom, my aunts, you know, neighborhood matriarchs who made sure that everybody got fed, everybody did what they were supposed to do, everybody was where they were supposed to be.
Yeah.
And so I try to infuse my books with characters that actually feel real to me. If that makes any sense.
It makes complete sense because it felt real to me, and I'm sure it was going to feel real to anyone who has read the book. It felt very real, and I also felt very seen.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely. I did. So let's talk about the other big news. Can't miss. It's going to be on Showtime. What? I mean, imagine you write a book in 2008, you put it away, and then you come back in 2015, get published. Your debut is now going to be a limited series on Showtime. I mean,
let me tell you something. I am still having pinch me moments. Okay. I remember several days after the announcement came out, and I was waking up in the morning, and you know, I was kind of on the cusp of sleep and being awake. And I remember kind of laying in the bed going, oh my God, I had this dream that Uzo Aduba was going to star in a show of my book. And I was going, oh my God.
I mean,
Uzo Aduba is starring in the show.
She's starring in it. Say it again. Say it again so they can hear you.
Right? Yes. Uzo Aduba is starring as Elise Littlejohn.
I mean, it's going to be amazing.
Crazy. This whole team that they have put together is incredible because Denise Davis, who is also an executive producer, produced Insecure. She is the creative partner of Issa Rae. Orrin Squire, who is the screenwriter, has worked on This Is Us and Evil and The Good Fight. So it's like a stellar team. I could not, in my wildest imagination, I could not have.
When I saw the news, I was like, oh my God, like this is like major. And you couldn't have asked for, like, she's executive producer and she's going to star in it?
Yes.
It's going to be so good.
It is going to be so
it's really, I mean, to actually read it and then see it on TV, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's going to be excellent.
Yeah, I am so excited. And Uzo Aduba is just, she's brilliant. She is simply brilliant. Well, they all are. Denise Davis, I cannot say enough about how crazy talented this woman is. She is super stellar, and I am really blessed. I mean,
it's
blessed.
So wonderful. I had visions of Uzo, how she's going to be Elise. Like, she's gonna knock it out the park.
She is. It has been a wonderful journey. It really has.
I'm so happy for you. I mean, a debut book becomes now a limited series on Showtime. It's like, what more you have arrived? What more could you ask for? Like, seriously.
Oh gosh.
So let's talk about, normally when I'm talking to people, and so I was like, well, what's next? But I'm gonna say what's next because you have this book out now.
Yes.
I'm so excited about reading it. So tell us a little bit about this so people can also purchase this one as well.
Yes, that is on sale right now.
Yes, it is.
So Anywhere You Run is what I like to describe as a coming of age story with a lot of dead bodies.
Okay.
Yeah,
I like that.
Kind of my jam. But the story takes place in 1964. And 3 civil rights workers are brutally murdered, Cheney, Goodman, and Schwerner. And against this backdrop, Violet Richards is also brutally attacked, but she kills her attacker. Now, she's a Black woman in 1964 Jim Crow South, so she knows she's not getting any justice. So she takes off running. and through a series of twists and turns, she winds up in a small town in Georgia. Her sister Marigold is also in a different sort of trouble because it's the 1960s and she's pregnant and unmarried. And that's not a good thing for good girls in the
Right.
60s.
Mm-hmm.
And when the police show up at her door looking for her sister, she decides, I might need to get out of town too. And she heads north, thinking that things will be better, won't be segregated South anymore. Um, the two sisters are trying to navigate their lives, but they are unaware that there is a man who has some really dangerous secrets. And he has decided to find these two women. And so he's hot on their trail with a really unique motive for finding the women.
I cannot wait. But I flipped it open to chapter 18, I just was sitting here. And I want to know I'm assuming, is this the same Vera or is it a different Vera?
Look at you. You're smart. Yeah, that's the little Easter egg. So this is Vera's backstory, actually.
So perfect. So perfect. That's perfect. So when you guys read all the little secrets you introduced to Vera, this is her story.
Yeah, it really is a book. Again, it's about two sisters who love one another. They also bring the drama that sisters bring.
Mm-hmm.
But it deals with themes around, of course, racial violence and a woman's right to choose and govern her own body, equity at the voting polls. All these things that were occurring in 1964 that seem like deja vu today.
I mean, we're here now. You can just cross that out and put 2022.
Right. Exactly. Mm-hmm. Exactly. And that's one of the reasons why I wrote the book, because I thought this is a horrible and stark reminder that we haven't come as far as we like to think we've
right. Come. We haven't.
Yeah.
So any advice for, women of color, Black women that, want to write? I think we need more, like I said at the beginning, more thriller mystery writers.
Yeah, you know what? I agree. First and foremost, I agree wholeheartedly with you. We need more Black female writers and writers of color. The publishing industry still has a very, very long way to go in terms of publishing stories by creatives of color. But, I think first and foremost, you have to get past the noise in your head. For me, I kept allowing self-doubt to stop me from a passion that I can't live without writing now. Mm-hmm. And so I tell writers who are just starting out, just do it. Even if you sit for 10 or 15 minutes every day and jot out a scene, just do it. Because that's kind of the hardest part, is just getting started. Now, there are all sorts of different ways to create and to write. But the biggest obstacle is actually starting and being committed to it.
That's good advice. So can we ask what's next? Are you working on something? Another book?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I'm working on the third book.
Okay.
We don't have a pub date. It will either be fall of next year or winter 2024.
Okay.
And this book, again, much like my first two, is set in Georgia, but this time it's set in coastal Georgia, down near the Savannah, Brunswick area along the Atlantic Ocean. And it is about a young woman who has suffered a really terrible loss and is trying to navigate her way back through it. And she uncovers a scheme that threatens to take away the land and generational wealth of Black landowners. And it touches on, again, themes of family and what it means to have a home, how Black people create generational wealth and or lose it, and deals with some of the Gullah Geechee culture in southern Georgia.
Oh, that sounds interesting.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
that sounds great. I
You
can't
know
wait.
me, writing all the happy little stories. One of these days, I'm gonna write a
I was
rom-com.
gonna ask you that. Like, do you ever think you'll switch genre and write, something else? But I mean,
I think I
this works
will.
for you.
Although this story and Anywhere You Run, both have Black love stories in them. So Anywhere You Run has some Black love in it. And this story that I'm working on, this third one, also, it's a little hot and spicy. All
Okay.
right.
Even with all her little secrets, I thought to myself, I said, minus all the dead bodies, I'm thinking you probably really would do an awesome literary fiction or historical, fiction.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. And we get a little history in this one, I'm sure.
Yes, there's lots of history.
Mm-hmm.
If you are familiar with the Voting Rights Act of 1965, the Civil Rights Act of 1964,
Mm-hmm.
Mississippi Citizens Councils, which were staunch segregationists, all of that, Medgar Evers' work, like I said, Cheney, Goodman, and Schwerner, and freedom riders who tried to help Black Mississippians get the right to vote. There's lots and lots of that in the second book. So I hope people will get a chance to pick it up.
I am looking forward to it. So you guys have your marching orders. If you haven't got All Her Little Secrets, make sure you get that, and make sure you get Anywhere You Run. And what do you want, like with either book, especially since we're talking about the first one, what did you want readers to take away from the novel? Like, what do you want them to leave with?
I guess first and foremost, I wanted people to walk away from that book and think, oh, so this really happens. Oh, so Black women really do have a tough time trying to navigate these spaces, because I think a lot of people think, well, I have a Black friend, or I know a Black woman who's a very successful lawyer, and she probably is, but she has probably paid heavily to be where she is,
right,
and to stay where she is. That I want people to understand that it's tough for women to navigate these types of spaces. And it is no easy feat to overcome kind of those personal insecurities that you may have. But I think, I tend to sign my books when people ask me to personalize their book. I always say there's strength in the sisterhood. And that is simply my way of saying support other women.
Right.
Support other women.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. I know I was talking to someone about the book, and she was saying how, reading it also made her see some of her biases and some stuff that she has said that probably has, offended someone, or that was a microaggression. Like she didn't really know. Like she was reading it, so like, oh my, right in front of your face. Wow, I've seen people do this. I've done it.
Yeah.
And she kept saying, like, I don't know, something about the story. She said, I just realized, I'm a white reader.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a little something in there for everybody, because one of the things that Elise does, she works in an environment where people make all these assumptions about her simply because of the color of her skin. And then she turns around and she does the same thing to another character, Juice. And she makes all these assumptions about him based on what little information she knows about him. And so that goes back to my point that there's nuance in all of us, and that, she does the same thing that somebody does to her, and that we all have something that we can improve upon, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you one part that really made me mad too, is the store.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That really.
And you know what? I got to tell you this. Seriously, I did a book club, and one of the women spoke up, and she was a white woman, and she said, I just don't think that would happen. I mean, if those two ladies were nicely dressed and went into a store, I don't think that would really happen. And I had to gather myself first. I was like, okay, now let's talk. Yeah, that actually
it happens.
it still happens. It's
Yes.
happened before, and it still happens. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, the fact that no matter what your station in life, that you can still go into a store and be racially profiled
Absolutely.
by somebody who's making their earning by the hour.
Yes.
And this woman, you know, at least Lil John probably could, you know, earn her salary in a couple hours of work. And so it's not to be elitist, but it's simply to say that there's still this sense that people have of being better, that you are the other. No matter how much you are successful, how much you make, how good and decent a person you are, it is still the color of your skin that makes them make certain decisions about you.
You mentioned
that really happens.
You mentioned a book club. I mean, we're a book club as well, but I can only imagine the discussions that people are having as book clubs. You know, they gather. I mean, I can only imagine.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing I've seen a lot of when I was, you know, just doing my research, and a lot of book clubs have read this book and they've talked about the perspective and you know, how they felt after reading it. And that's a good thing.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so. Yeah, I hope a lot of people tap into the book, because I know, like I said earlier, some people kind of look at mysteries and like, that's not really my thing. But the book is so much more than
so
just
much
a
more
mystery. It really is kind of a discussion about where we are as a society.
Yeah, it's so much more. If people say they're not mystery thriller, I'm like, oh no, don't let that fool you. Just go dive right in. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well,
I say the same thing too about the second book. It's not just historical. There really is a lot of commentary and a lot to digest about the almost 60 years that this country has been dealing with the same issues.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I cannot thank you enough for joining us. It has been an honor to have you here and to read your work. I'm so excited to start anywhere you run. And I look forward to the next book, and we'll be shouting you out when it's time for us to watch All Her Little Secrets on Showtime.
Ah, my God. I still get chills. You just said that and I still get chills.
Yes, I cannot wait. And I got to have you hop over on Spines and Vines and go do a literary wind down one day. I'll reach out for you about that as well.
That sounds good.
Okay.
Do it. It has been an honor and a pleasure. Thank you so much.
You are so welcome, and enjoy the rest of your weekend.
You too. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you guys for joining.